One of the biggest debates in horror is no doubt, what is the scariest horror movie? And there is no definitive answer. Everybody has their own pick for the movie that scares them the most. But I picked a list of 50 horror movies. I used the Science of Scare thing where they test heart rate, and I picked the top 20 to guarantee on here. And then I went through and just picked some of my personal scariest, some that I've heard are scary, some that, are just classics that I want to talk about. And I compiled a list of 50 horror movies that I'm going to be ranking on a tier list based on how scary they are. Okay, so here we are at the tier list. At the top, we have Kicking and Screaming, which is just, I'm screaming and kicking. It's scary. Closing My Eyes, Packs a Punch, maybe one scare, and then at the bottom, Child's Play. So, let's get into it with Midsommar. And Midsommar is going to go into Packs a Punch. It is not the scariest Ari Aster film. I think, obviously, one we'll talk about here in a little bit is a lot scarier, but it still has some good scenes in here. I tried to differentiate disturbing and gross with scary. So I picked the scariest films. So Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave, they're not on here, but the scariest films are what we're ranking. So yeah. Then we have Hell House LLC. This, I'm going to put it into Kicking and Screaming. In the last couple of years, this is the scariest experience I have had with a film. It's not the greatest movie of all time, but it had some terrifying sequences. That clown mannequin is horrifying. There are so many scenes that had me on the edge of my seat, that had me literally closing my eyes, but I'm putting it in the top because it is terrifying. Then we have The Strangers, Child's Play. I get a lot of people are scared by this. Home invasion films aren't really my personal cup of tea, and I think The Strangers is just incredibly boring. So, maybe I should put it in one. No, I just was never scared by it. There was a couple things where I was like, oh yeah, that's a good scare, but it didn't scare me. Now we have The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I'm gonna go maybe one scare. It didn't scare me. It was a good film. I enjoyed it, but it didn't scare me at all, I wouldn't say. There was a couple sequences where I was like, okay, yeah, that's a good horror sequence, but I wouldn't say it scared me, so I'm gonna go down there. Now you have Talk to Me. This was one that was on the Science of Scare thing, and I just felt like I had to put it on here. But I'm gonna put it into Packs a Punch. There's some good horror sequences in here. I don't think terror is the biggest emotion you get with Talk to Me, but I think it is certainly an emotion that you get with it. I think, this movie's more sad than anything, but still, like I said, Packs a Punch. Now you have The Descent. Partially because I have, minor claustrophobia.
It means he's afraid of Santa Claus.
I'm going to put this one into Closing My Eyes. I didn't close my eyes at it, but I think it is pretty scary. Maybe if you have claustrophobia, I'm sure it is horrifying to you. But even without, I'm mildly claustrophobic, but it's still pretty scary. Now we have A Quiet Place Part 2, and this was on literally every Science of Scare thing. Child's Play. It's not scary. It's not even good. It's just a fine follow-up to the second one. It's not scary. It's more action than anything. I don't get how it's on the scariest movies. I do not understand that. I just cannot fathom that. Terrifier 2. This was also on the Science of Scare thing. I would say this one's more disturbing or grotesque. I don't know. I wouldn't say scary is the word I'd say for it, but I'm not going to put it in the bottom because there was a couple good ones. I'll go maybe one scare. Maybe it should be a little bit higher than Exorcism Emily Rose, but I don't rank within the tiers. I just put it in the tier and move on. But it's not scary. I wouldn't say it's scary, but it does have some good gory sequences. So Bring Her Back. This is the most recent film on the list, and again, it was on here because of the Science of Scare. Put it in the same tier as Talk to Me. It packs a punch, but it's not the scariest thing of all time. There's some great scenes in here. I think the scene where the kid is gnawing on the knife, or I guess that's more gross, but still, that was pretty scary. There's some good scenes in here. I ended up wanting to love it, and I just ended up not. It ended up just not working for me as a film, but as a scary movie, it is scary. Texas Chainsaw, of like the classic slasher movies, I guess I'd say is maybe, I didn't put Black Christmas on here, but that might be the scariest. But maybe I'll put it in Packs a Punch. There's a couple scenes in here, like when Leatherface first appears, when he kills Franklin. I mean, the dinner scene's pretty messed up. So there's a couple good scares in here. I'm not going to say it's terrifying, though. Now we have Barbarian. This is another pretty recent one. Again, it's a good movie, but it's not scary. Like, I'll put it in maybe one scare. I think the scene where she springs out and kills Bill Skarsgård was pretty good. There's a couple decent little scenes here and there, but I think the comedy really counteracts the scariness of Barbarian. I feel like it's not as scary as a lot of the other ones. It Follows. I'm putting it in Closing My Eyes. This is another one that it took me a minute to come around on it. When I first saw it, I actually didn't like it all that much, but now that I've seen it a couple of times, I do really like it, and there's some fantastic jump scares in here. I mean, that tall man coming through the door. Now we have Halloween. Like I said, it's on here because it's a classic, and I'm not gonna... Do I put... I mean... I put it on here because it's like a classic, and everyone's going to be like, oh, Halloween, underrated for scariest. The older films don't scare me as much. I don't know if it's just my age or, when I grew up or what, but the older films don't scare me as much. And slasher films don't scare me as much. So I'm going to put Halloween in Child's Play. I don't think there's any moment in that movie that really scares me. Now we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, and this one is actually what I'd say is the scariest of the classic slashers. I'm going to put it in the same tier as Texas Chainsaw, Packs a Punch, but no higher than that. Hush, another home invasion movie. But I'll put this one an edge above The Strangers. Like I said, not really my thing. It doesn't scare me as much. But obviously, if there was a home intruder in my house in real life, I would be scared shitless. But I haven't had that experience yet, so I'm sure if I did, it would be scarier for me, but I haven't, so it's just a little bit boring. Annabelle, Child's Play, it's terrible. This movie sucks. I think the opening scene of The Conjuring where they talk about Annabelle is scarier than this entire film. Now we have Child's Play, and it will not go in Child's Play. It will go into maybe one scare, because there is one scare I can think of immediately that's very good. The batteries scene. When the batteries fall out of the box and she realizes Chucky's alive, I knew, obviously, when I first watched Child's Play that Chucky was the killer. Chills. I got chills at that scene. But that was all that really scared me about the film. I know a lot of people are terrified by dolls. I get it. Dolls are scary. But considering I literally have a giant Chucky doll in my room that I sleep in the room with this guy. I'm insane. I wouldn't. Now you have The Nun, Child's Play. The Conjuring spin-off movies are not good. And The Nun was on the Science of Scare thing, so I put it on here. But again, The Nun's part in The Conjuring 2 is scarier than this entire film. The Visit. Maybe one scare. I'd say a few for this one, but I wouldn't say it packs a punch at all. I kind of saw the twist coming, but there was some good sequences. Like, I think when she finds the real grandparents' bodies, I think is pretty scary. I think there's a couple good, background scares, but overall, not the scariest film of all time. Certainly not the scariest M. Night Shyamalan. Now we have It 2017. And this one, when I first watched it, I would have probably put it into Closing My Eyes. But considering it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I've seen it 20 times, I'm going to put it into Packs a Punch. Just can't put it up to that top tier anymore because I'm so desensitized by it. Long Legs. Child's Play, dude. It, again, kind of comes down to my personal enjoyment of the films. I did not like Long Legs all that much. Just didn't work for me personally. I know it worked for a lot of people. A lot of people really liked it. Didn't work for me, but it also just didn't scare me. I didn't think Long Legs was that intimidating. I was more laughing at the guy, which I think you were also kind of meant to do because he is a crazy character, but it just didn't scare me at all. Now you have Weapons. I take it back. I think this is the most recent. or Bring Her Back was the same year, so it doesn't matter. But um, I've been scared. No, I don't think. I mean, there was a couple scenes with Gladys. There's a few good jump scares in here, so I'll put it into. I'll put it into maybe one scare. I think it's more the concept that's scary rather than like the actual movie. But I mean, I guess that does add into it. But host, this is number one on Science of Scare. It packs a punch. It's scary. I'm not. I mean, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a handful of scenes that got me in here. Yeah, it's a scary movie. It's just not even remotely close to the scariest movie of all time. Now we have The Omen, and my famous Omen hot take strikes again. Child's Play. I don't like The Omen. It's one of my worst horror movie hot takes. I know everybody loves this movie. I just have never enjoyed it. I don't think it's scary at all. So, that one will probably be the most controversial one on the list by far. But yeah, it doesn't scare me. Us. This might be a little bit weird. Us freaked me out. I'm going to put this one into closing my eyes. Did not go into this movie expecting it to be scary. But it freaked me out. There is some good home invasion sequences in here. I think some of the scenes with Red talking to the main girl, I forget her name, are terrifying. I think mainly like that middle chunk is very scary. And some of the ending sequences, the score adds to it obviously a lot. I could see Us not being near anyone's like scariest films of all time, but I thought it was pretty scary. Alien. Again, like the chest burster scene's great. There's a couple other sequences here and there, but the older films just don't scare me as much. I'll put this one into Packs a Punch because the chest burster scene is very good. Sixth Sense. My pick for the scariest M. Night Shyamalan. Not the scariest film of all time. Wait. I'll put it in Packs a Punch. Because like I said, I think it's a lot scarier than The Visit, and The Visit's maybe won't scare. So I'm going to put it in the middle here. I thought a lot of the ghost sequences were pretty good. The ending is more just kind of like shocking than it is scary, so I feel like not including that, but I feel like a lot of the film was actually pretty scary for me when I watched it for the first time. So yeah, put it in the middle. Jaws. Obviously, I watched Jaws for the first time way later. Child's... No, we'll go one scare, because that jump scare in the boat genuinely got me. The kid getting eaten on the raft is pretty terrifying too. So there's a couple scenes in there, but obviously Jaws is such a huge part of pop culture now that when you watch Jaws, you're not going for it for a scary movie. You're going for a blockbuster where a shark eats a bunch of people. So I wouldn't say it's the scariest movie. It's trying to be scary, and I think the opening scene was terrifying for people when this movie came out. So if I was around when this movie came out, obviously I'd be a lot more scared by it, but I am not. Now we have the Unfriended movies. I'm going to put the first Unfriended into Packs a Punch and the second Unfriended into Closing My Eyes, because there was a couple scenes in the second one that actually got me. I think it's a worse movie, but there's a lot of terrifying moments in that one. There's some scary moments in the first Unfriended too. I just think I wouldn't put either of them in Kicking and Screaming, but if I'm going to give the edge to Dark Web here. Candyman. Candyman has some scary moments. I'm going to put it in Closing My Eyes. Like, there is a couple scenes where she wakes up. I think when she wakes up and the dog is dead, that one really got me. When he frames her to making her look like she killed the girl, I forget her name. Also terrifying, and Candyman's just captivating and scary as himself. So, yeah, I think Candyman is probably the scariest slasher movie ever. The Babadook. Kicking and Screaming. Okay, Babadook, one of my favorite movies ever. I think it's in my top 10 horror movies, probably bordering on top 15 movies ever. I love the Babadook. I think he is terrifying. I think all the noises, just the guttural noises he makes. Like, it's something so stupid, like the Babadook, and he's like saying like Babadook, like that could be so stupid, but it is terrifying. Actually, I want to give an honorable mention because I realized I didn't put it on here, but Donnie Darko, I'd put that one into closing my eyes. I thought that one was pretty scary. Now we have Insidious 3. I think I have the first 3 Insidious films on here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, okay. But they're in the wrong order, but it doesn't matter. This is the scariest one for me. I'm going to put this one into closing my eyes. It did actually get me to close my eyes for a couple of scenes. Jump scares are very good. I think probably the scariest Insidious film. The first one still has some great scenes, some great scares in there. I'm not discounting that, but Insidious 3 I'd say is the scariest for sure because it doesn't use that like loud noise, because loud noises are such a cheap way to get a jump scare because like it is an automatic response for your body, and I hate it when that happens. But this one actually earns the jump scares, I feel. So I'm gonna say that's the scariest one of the Insidious franchise. We'll get to the other two in a second here. Hereditary's kicking and screaming. I think that's the second scariest movie of all time. I just did a short where I talked about some of the scariest films ever. That's the second one by far. Like it's bordering on the first. There are so many terrifying moments in this. It is. It just hits you on every emotional level. It hits you on it's depressing as hell. It's scary as hell. It's disturbing as hell. It gives you all the feelings you don't want to feel. And it is just, it's horrifying. It is terrifying. It's one of my favorite films ever. Poltergeist, the only PG movie on here, but that's because PG-13 didn't exist when this film came out. I'm gonna put Poltergeist in Packs a Punch. Probably one of the scariest older films for me. It's 80s. I guess Texas Chainsaw is older than that. I think Poltergeist has a couple of great scenes. Obviously, the guy prying his face off in the mirror is pretty scary. But otherwise, there's a couple good scenes. I think the scenes with, like, the doll was pretty good. The only Evil Dead film I have, because it was the only one on the Science of Scare thing, is Evil Dead Rise. And I wouldn't say scary is the first thing I would think of when I think of Evil Dead Rise. But I'll still put it into Packs a Punch. There is some scary scenes in here, don't get me wrong. But I think it's more... like, people think of, like, the cheese grater scene, and this was, like, hyped up when the film came out. It was like, you'll never look at a cheese grater the same way again. And everyone was like, oh, someone's getting the cheese grater to their face. And I think it's, like, just to their leg. And obviously, that is just, like, ooh, bad to think about. But it was not as much as I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more, considering how much it was hyped up. But still, like I said, it's in the middle, so I'm not saying it's not scary. It's just, Wreck. Wreck is, I think, the only foreign film I have on here. That's kind of, I should have put more, just, whatever. Wreck is scary. I'm going to put Wreck into closing my eyes. I did not see this in the ideal conditions the first time. I watched it on my phone in the car ride, so, not the best conditions, watching it with my AirPods in, so, but the second time I watched it, obviously I knew some of the stuff that happened, so it wasn't as effective, but I watched it in my basement in the dark, so it was a lot scarier the second time. So a lot of these, environment plays a huge factor, but that one I was able to see in a better environment. It actually went up for me, so. Sinister, this is the scariest movie of all time for me. I don't care. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, I get it. Obviously, the trailer ruined it for some people, but people are like, oh, no, it's not even scary at all. You're entitled to whatever opinion you want, okay? You can say it's not scary. You can be all big, tough, and macho. This movie's horrifying, okay? It is the scariest movie of all time for me. Obviously, I just talked about Hereditary and how terrifying that movie is. This movie has some fantastic jump scares. It has some amazing... kills, like the tapes are so scary. Like the lawnmower is, oh my god. You got the hanging in the beginning, terrifying. There's a couple of super underrated scares with Bagul, like the one on the TV or is on the laptop screen that is just terrifying. So I think that this movie is horrific, but I do think it could be topped because I haven't seen that many that I've been like, oh, that's really scary. So, I think it could be topped, but as of now, it's still my scariest film ever. Insidious Chapter 2. maybe like one scare. I didn't like Insidious Chapter 2, but obviously the first one's gonna go up into closing my eyes. Fantastic scene with I mean, it's the greatest jump scare. I feel like most people would say it's the greatest jump scare of all time. I wouldn't say. I mean, I might. It's a pretty damn good jump scare. It's a pretty damn good jump scare. So, I mean, that alone could have catapulted it up there. The tiptoe through the tulip scene, oh my god, still gives me chills. Just the score alone on that scene is amazing. So, yeah, Insidious is terrifying. Blair Witch Project. I love the Blair Witch Project. Child's Play. No, we'll go one scare. We'll go one scare. Because I do think some of the scenes where they're in the tent are actually pretty good when they come out and they have like those stick figures and the rocks everywhere. So I think there is a couple scenes. A couple. But I love the Blair Witch Project. I just don't think it's the most scary. Smile. I'm going to stick Smile into Kicking and Screaming, dude. Maybe it was the environment I saw it in. It was like the middle of the night, and I was just like, hey, this movie looks fun. It's not fun. This movie is not fun. It is very, very dark, and it has some terrifying... There was multiple moments in this that stuck with me for hours after I finished watching the movie, so I feel like if that isn't enough to put it up in the top, I don't know what it is, because like it stuck with me. Conjuring 2, I think the nun in this is terrifying. I'm going to at least put it into Closing My Eyes. I don't know if it would quite reach the top tier, because I don't think it's as scary as the original, which let's just talk about right now. I think I'm also going to put into Closing My Eyes, because I've seen it a few times now. It's not as scary as I remember it, but it is still pretty scary. I mean, the hide and clap sequence is phenomenal, like one of the scariest sequences in all of horror, so that one's terrifying, but I think it's because I've watched it so many times I've been desensitized to some of the scares. Rosemary's Baby, another older film that is still pretty scary. I'm gonna put this one into Packs a Punch. There was a few good scenes in here that really got me. This is one of my favorite older films of all time. Sucks that the filmmaker's a piece of shit, but it's a good movie, and it's got some good scares. Now we have The Exorcist, and The Exorcist packs a punch. Like I said, older films don't scare me as much. I don't think The Exorcist has aged the best, but you can't deny it's still pretty scary. I mean, the scene where her head spins around, the scene where she's speaking in like a foreign or like a darker tone, it's scary. It has some good scares, but I wouldn't say it's like the scariest film of all time by any means. Now with the Paranormal Activity movies, and since they're all in a row here, I'm just going to put them in order. First, Paranormal Activity, obviously, is my favorite film ever. Sorry, my voice is giving out. Is my favorite film ever, so I'm a little bit more biased to it, but by the first time I watched this movie, you know what? I'm just sticking to Closing My Eyes for one reason, because, okay, we'll get to it in a second here. Paranormal Activity 2, packs a punch. No, actually, I'm going to put that one up into Close My Eyes, too. There's some great... I mean, the kitchen scare here, the Roomba, or the, like, ladybug cleaner in the pool jumping out, it's pretty scary. But I think Paranormal Activity 3 has... I'm going to say it's my scariest Paranormal Activity movie now. No, I'm going to move the first one up as well. Okay, it was between the top two for that one anyway. Okay, first one's terrifying, second one... also scary, but the third one with that fan, the oscillating fan where the camera like pans across, and every time it pans you expect it to pan back and something scary to be there, and it never comes. So that is what is so good about the Paranormal Activity movies, is it makes you terrified of absolutely nothing. So yeah, right up to the top. Now you have Saw, Child's Play. Again, more disturbing, more gory, but even the first film isn't all that gory. It's not scary. The Ring, I'll put it into Closing My Eyes. I think the tape is terrifying. I think a couple of the scenes with Samar are pretty good. It's scary. It's scary, but I wouldn't say it's, top tier scariest of all time. But that is my completed scariest movies tier list. I was expecting it to be a little bit more bottom heavy, and it was, but I think we still got a decent amount up there in the top by the end of it. So comment down below where you agree, where you disagree, maybe some that I missed. I might do a part 2 if there's enough recommendations of films that I missed. And that is going to be it for today's video. Remember, if you did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. So, and you want to see more videos like it in the future, make sure to hit the bell notification to be notified when I post any brand new videos. And the next video I post will be most likely my Oscar thoughts on the Oscars. But I might sneak another video in there in between. Who knows? But that will most likely be the next one. So stay tuned for that. And I'll